Hello, everyone. Welcome back to this week's episode of Smart Money Sundays. If this is something new to you, this is something that I do every single week for you guys for free on YouTube, just kind of highlighting from a higher time frame perspective across the broader markets, kind of what we're expecting for the week ahead. And so oftentimes there are plenty of opportunities, right? Plenty of actual setups that end up playing out throughout the week, to where, all you really needed to do is watch this episode to have a fruitful trading week. All right. And then there's some weeks like this week where I feel like we're going to kind of need to sit on our hands to some degree, at least starting out this week, to get a better idea of where things are going, especially kind of with these majors, these dollar pairs, which obviously have a more significant effect across the broader market, crosses, exotics, etc. All right, but Euro USD is where we usually start off. And if you recall from last week's episode, obviously we talked about kind of two scenarios, right? Number one being the fact that, okay, yes, we are in an overall significant downtrend, right? An enduring downtrend. And potentially looking at this as kind of a price trades into demand here, has that reaction, and then demand fails, we break lower, create a new lower low, retracement into the demand, flip to supply for an overall continuation and new lower low. All right, that was one possibility, and that is still on the cards in my opinion. We just have to have that potential assumption. And then the other possibility was the fact that price action here, this extension, right, could print a higher low for another extension to the upside into the more extreme supply, right? This lower high, which actually produced this lower low. All right, and that is still very much so on the cards as well. And hence why I'm talking about kind of sitting on our hands, seeing what price does to open up the week. All right, and so if I had it my way, right, I would like to see another extension, another drive cycle into the highs, right? With this being a kind of A into B into C retracement, trade up into supply here, right? And then we look for shorting opportunities in terms of continuations for the higher time frame trend. All right, and so if you were following, obviously VIP, you guys know from kind of our daily market breakdown videos, I talked about last week during the week, trading into this kind of 2 hour, 1 hour area, or potentially even running out this short-term low here and then maybe seeing that reversal to the upside as kind of indicative of another extension for that A into B into C retracement. All right, and sure enough, last week we actually did run out this low by just a little bit with that CPI news and broke structure here to the upside. All right, clearing this lower high. All right, and so kind of in terms of the here and now, and I don't like the fact that we kind of closed right at kind of discounted pricing, right, from this low to this high. Discount continuation is what I would be looking for, but we are pretty much right at my POI, which would be the kind of 30 minute right here. All right, so if we open up and trade into this immediately, I'm not going to be taking it. I'm not going to be looking at it. I really only like to trade London, New York session. But if we kind of open up and just hang out around here, then I'd certainly be looking for sell to buy coming London, New York session tomorrow for that push higher. All right. Otherwise, I think, if this ends up being somewhat of another kind of demand flip to supply, right? And we kind of have this price action up and then just break lower, then, I think this can be used as some form of now supply for continuation lower. All right, I think if we run this low here, then we might as well just seek out previous higher time frame low and the liquidity resting beneath it. All right, and so this is kind of a wait and see type of thing. All right, we're prepared, right, ready to react and adapt to whatever the market tells us. We're not married to one particular bias, although we have our preference, which is right to respect this low here where we ran out liquidity. Nice manipulation, sell to buy. The expectation is that this low would be protected, but you just don't know, especially when we're in a higher time frame downtrend. All right, so hopefully that provides some clarity here on fiber. So now heading over to cable. right? Another one we talked about last week, right? We really kind of wanted to see price trade down into the 2 hour, right? This inefficiency here, right? We came oh so close, right? But didn't quite reach it, right? And so then we had that kind of sell to buy that we saw on Euro USD, right? And really we were kind of looking at this last week from a higher time frame perspective as well, right? As a kind of higher high, higher low, right? Significant drive higher, looking for another higher low for another higher high, potentially running out the liquidity, the descending liquidity here, and trading into that 90-minute up close that we've been wanting for quite some time. All right, and I still think that that is potential. All right, that's on the cards. And so, if Euro is just going to kind of open up and pop lower, then I would expect this level to be the level on GU, right, where we have that kind of up close supply, trade into it, react, fail, break higher, supply flips to demand. All right, so this is kind of my first POI. We have relative equal highs here as well in terms of withdrawal and liquidity. But if we do end up pushing significantly lower, then I'd still potentially be interested in our level from last week, right? Running out this low here that didn't really trade into much of anything, all right? And then potentially seeing that reaction higher. All right, so again, just not very clear in terms of wave play market structure right now. It gets difficult like this, especially when you've seen significant downtrends, right? And you start to form some bit of a structure, right, in the opposite direction of trend. All right, we're always cautious when trading counter trend, and really like to see, I want to see a significant story being built around an actual reversal in trend, right, before I kind of jump on board. All right, but AUD USD last week, obviously we talked about first and foremost on the higher time frame, right? This price trading into this down close candle, this weekly time frame inefficiency, which we have now met, closed into it this week. Could obviously push deeper kind of into the body here of this candle, right? But we have met higher time frame objective. Does it mean it's going to reverse from there? No, it's just the higher time frame objective where we're looking for shorting opportunities in terms of targets. All right, but I price has not indicated any sort of reversal to me yet, right? And AU and NU are kind of weaker than, say, EU and GU. All right, and so until price really indicates otherwise, I'm going to continue to look for opportunities to sell this thing. All right, so remember last week, obviously we talked about this being that POI. I think price was trading in here at the time, and we wanted price to retrace into this kind of sell model here, right? You have the high, run the low, then run the high, and then break lower. Okay, price trades into demand here, has the reaction, and then breaks lower. So demand flipped to supply. I really wanted to see this level. We just didn't have enough momentum to get that type of premium. All right, and so I'm still holding this level, all right, as a point of interest. It's because it is a point of interest, right? Just because it doesn't get hit immediately doesn't mean we should just delete it as the POI, right? But then I have this more immediate level, right? This kind of up close from New York Open, 8 a.m. on, I believe, Friday, right? As a kind of primary point of interest, right? A nice kind of buy to sell. And I think this level likely be intact, right? To seek out the liquidity resting beneath previous week's low, right? So potentially get back up into there and target these lows here. All right, trade a little bit lower into 6150 as kind of short-term targets. All right, so that's the candlestick here on AU, and then if we do breach, right, then obviously we'll be looking at higher time frame levels talked about last week. All right, so those are the two areas on AU, very similar to NZD USD. All right, potentially this level here. And again, this was our point of interest last episode. We didn't quite reach up into it, right, for pushing lower. And so similar situation here, right? Initial point of interest, this up close candle here, right? This up close candle will be the initial, and then still holding this out as my secondary, more extreme point of interest, right? You can see the sell model, high, low, run the lows, equal lows first, then run the highs, and then break lower. All right, so a couple scenarios here, the initial intraday point of interest and the secondary higher time frame point of interest. All right, USD CAD. USD CAD last week. Again, you know, we just didn't see kind of the retracements that we wanted to see from last week's episode, right? That's okay. It's just been choppy. It's not been clean wave play, right? And that's okay. We'll get that clean wave play again if we're patient traders, right? And quit trying to force things that don't necessarily make sense from a higher time frame perspective, right? We have our levels. We have our specific levels that we like, and we try to not let the intraday, intra-week noise throw us off of those levels that we know are technically the most valid levels. All right, and so this was that area from UCAD last week. Really wanted to see, right, where we had the sell to buy running relative equal lows here, right, and then the push higher, break higher. Just haven't gotten that retracement yet. So I'm still holding this level as our extreme, right, higher time frame discounted point of interest. And then it's pretty kind of obvious, guys. This would be the intraday point of interest for me, right? The up close, the down close, the push through, right? And then ultimately looking at this high as the draw on liquidity. All right, some of you might look at this as, oh, buy to sell, right? And yes, maybe it will play out. Maybe we will respect something in here, right? But I'm not going to bank on that. We're in a significant uptrend. Oftentimes, these are just buy to sell to buy in continuation, right? We didn't really have a significant follow through, right? We just kind of had the buy to sell and just pushing back up again. All right, so be wary in situations like this. Don't let these big candlesticks like this fool you. All right, so it'll be interesting to see if price has some sort of reaction off of this down close candle, or if not, if we bust lower, right? Our level from last week, kind of this 1 hour candle right here. All right, 3620. So very similar, just the kind of vice versa, the AU and NU. Same deal here on UCAD to the upside. All right, moving down to Euro JPY. Right, this one is another one that's pretty self-explanatory. All right, obviously we're in a higher time frame uptrend. These yen pairs are technically still bullish, right? And, you know, has not really given us any sort of indication that trend is reversing, right? Of a shift in market structure, right? So we're creating these higher highs and higher lows. Naturally, we should expect this old high here to be run out, right? So that should be short-term, near-term targets, right? Within an uptrend, we should be taking out old highs, right? And so naturally, what I'm looking at is down close candle here. Right, really simple as that from 8 a.m. New York session. Right, nice manipulation, right? Nice sell to buy, create the imbalance, the inefficiency, looking for the pullback into discount for continuations into our old high, right? Our old high. All right, so for me, that's pretty straightforward, pretty simple, right? Potentially catch nice 270 pips on that one. All right, and then Swiss franc, Japanese yen. Again, it's a little different than Euro JPY. Talked about this one last week, how we have our clean sell side liquidity here that I fully expect to be taken out. And we have our old relative equal lows here, sell side liquidity as kind of overall objective. All right, after this nice massive manipulation, buy to sell, kind of slow corrective in nature, this price action here with nice sell side liquidity. So again, this level from last week, this is the kind of initial point, and then potentially digging up higher into this candlestick here. All right, would be a nice premium in my opinion to look at taking some potential risk and targeting that sell side liquidity. So that is still intact from last week, looking for that buy to sell here. All right, and the same applies to CAD JPY. Still have our sell side liquidity intact. Right, we still have our higher time frame objective down here, right, where we had ascending liquidity, sell to buy, nice inefficiency and balance that's never been filled up, equal lows here, trading into supply now. All right, so we're trading into the supply that I gave out last week, right, where we have the run the low, run the high, run the low, corrective in nature, trading up into premium pricing. And so kind of what I like to see here, right, I don't think we're quite ready yet. We're just not really seeing that reaction. I'd like to see another potential pass on the highs and then break lower, take it on the pullback. All right, so that's CAD JPY. I know it's slightly contradictory to Euro JPY, but Euro JPY has been significantly more bullish than CAD JPY. You're not quite seeing that correlation factor at the moment across the board like we typically like to see. All right, so one more potential run on the highs here on CADJ and then looking for the break of structure. If that doesn't happen and we just bust through, then so what? All right, but we want to see a run on the highs, then the break lower, then we take it on the pullback. Euro GBP. All right, remember this is the level that we wanted. All right, this up close candle here, nice corrective price action. Run the low, run the high, break lower. All right, and so we didn't quite reach our point of interest, but I'm still keeping it, all right, because this could still be treated ultimately depending on what the pound wants to do across the board in the broader markets. That could be used as a draw on liquidity, right, for price to ultimately trade up into our original POI, right, or conversely, right, this could be enough as a protected high, or price then simply retraces, now that we've created a new lower low, retraces into this nice doji candlestick here, right, for a continuation, right in here. Right, so this is POI 1, right, and then last week's level, POI 2, right, but I'm looking at retracements as excuses to sell euro pound. All right, so hopefully that makes sense. Euro NZD. Again, a lot of noise, guys. A lot of noise here. But we had our level from last week. Never got down into discounted pricing. That's okay, right? We don't get distracted by this crap, all right? So what likely I think is going to happen, first and foremost, I'll just highlight that level again, right? This demand, this nice doji candlestick inefficiency, filling that up. That's the level of interest, which I expect to be met. It's likely going to happen now. Right, so we see that kind of new higher high and then snap down into that level of discount, right? Higher low, higher high, higher low, continuation, higher high, right, into 7,800. Right, so again, no need to force anything, right? No need to rush anything. Sometimes we have our levels and they're hit very quickly and they play out immediately. Sometimes we have our levels and they won't play out for a week or two. It's just the nature of the beast. All right, you have to be able to accept that. All right, so that level, that's the level here on Euro NZD, 7150 area. GN, same deal, right? Still like our level. I still think that we need to trade down into this. After this massive liquidation, right? Massive sell to buy liquidation, you have the price trade into supply, react, fail, break higher, right? Supply flips to demand. Want to see that discounted pricing. Want to see us push lower, 1.9220 area, and then the push higher again, right? Just got to be patient, right? And the same goes for GBP AUD. Again, the same level, same type of level from last week, right? Trade into supply, flip to demand, right? Just need the higher time frame retracement, and then we'll catch another massive swing to the upside, right? Just be patient, all right? A few more here. CAD Swiss franc. CAD Swiss franc. All right. So this is another one. Oops. I don't know what's going on here. All right, this is another one. We're creating pretty nice equal highs, right? Kind of ranging, right? We're in this bit of a range here, right? But this high not taken out, this high not taken out, this high not taken out, this high not taken out. So I do want to see some type of manipulation higher, right? Digging into that pool of liquidity. And before that happens, I would like to see, so essentially, I would like to buy into this pool of liquidity, right? But I would like to first see a run on the sell side, right? And then be a buyer below old lows, potentially into this, right? Supply flip to demand, right? You can just look at this as supply in here, right? Price trades into it, reacts, fails, push higher, right? So I'd like to see the run into this area, right? Where I would then be looking for accumulation to then buy into these old highs here. All right, so hopefully that makes sense logically. All right, GBP, Swiss franc, nothing much to say on this one. Overall, we still have our level of demand, right? That supply to demand flip, right? After a massive liquidation, right? And break of structure, right? But I also could see us maintaining the lower time frame here, right? Where this would be the little bit of a retracement that we get, the higher high, higher low, and then we just start trickling up, right? So I have this area here as our primary point of interest. So POI 1 and then POI 2, right? But ultimately I want to see price trade up through this descending liquidity here, which we have not done yet, and then trade into this overall supply at 1.1500. All right, so let's see if this area will suffice, or if we do end up breaking through, then we'd have a nice level of discount for that continuation into our POI. All right, just a couple more. AUD CAD. Obviously, this cross is extremely bearish at the moment, right? Just look at this from the higher time frame perspective, right? Taking out a significant old low here, all right? And price is really showing no signs of stopping here, right? So I'd really just simply like to see a run on buy side liquidity before looking to get short again, right? Potentially run the lows, run the highs, got the 4-hour 50 EMA here, right? And we got a nice area of supply, right? That obviously traded into that old low here, right? And then look for the continuations lower. Right, so that's really all there is to it on ACAD. That's the point of interest. All right, then AUD JPY, again, you know, these yen pairs are pretty much, are still pretty bullish across the board. What I like about this one on AUD JPY, first and foremost, we have supply up here. That was never accounted for. All right, but I like this lower time frame price action. I'd really like to see this kind of slow, choppy, and then boom, sell to buy, break structure. All right. Not only that, but on the 2-hour time frame, if you go back, you will see that when we ran out the lows here, right, with this manipulation, you can see that we traded into an old inefficiency to the left, right here, right at 90.95. Right, that's what we traded into while simultaneously running sell side liquidity and then massive reaction, break of structure. Right, so this looks pretty good to me, right, for a continuation higher. This 30-minute down close, right, nice area of discount after breaking structure. Right, brings us in nicely into that 71.78.6 golden pocket. Discount, continuation higher. Ultimately trading up into this supply here, right? This up close candle up in here, kind of at 95.80. 95.80 would be the overall objective. All right, and then obviously, you know, similar circumstances there on NZD JPY, as those two pairs obviously correlate nicely. All right, so that wraps it up for this week's episode, guys. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope you mark off all these levels, are ready to react and adapt using time and price. If you want to learn more about, you know, how we break down charts and how we actually execute utilizing time and price and multiple other confluences, please head over to our website, aerialeffectstrading.com, and just simply book a free call with either Nate or me, and we'll kind of run through things and break down every single component within our mentorship program. It's really providing a lot of breakthroughs for our students at the moment. So feel free to reach out to us. If there's anything you want us to mark up or critique, we're always happy to help. That's what we're here for. All right. Safe trading. Have a wonderful week, and we'll talk to you again next Sunday.